Congratulations. I'm Mel Robbins. This is my live weekday broadcast, Stay Connected with Mel Robbins. And I am super excited because I have a incredibly awesome guest today. Holy cow. Wow. I cannot wait to introduce you to her. I see that she is watching the live stream. And in just a second, we are going to bring her on. I'm really excited about this. We're going to be talking today about a really important topic. And I want to give everybody a chance to kind of fold in from around the world. So if you're just joining me, welcome. I'm Mel Robbins. I'm the author of The 5-Second Rule, and I'm the host of the daytime syndicated talk show, The Mel Robbins Show. This is a live stream broadcast that I do on every single social media platform, Monday through Friday at noon Eastern, in order to help you stay connected, in order to help you stay grounded, and in order to support each other as we go through this unprecedented moment in time. My family and I, we are self-quarantining, doing the social distancing thing outside of Boston. We are stepping into week 4, everybody. Do me a favor, and as you join this live stream, go into the comments and please tell me, where are you watching from? And 0 to 10, how you doing today? 0 to 10, how you doing today? We're taking it day by day, and acknowledging how you're doing is one way to help you become more resilient and to help you move through those feelings. And so I'm really excited that you're joining us today because I have somebody that I admire who's about to join us. She is an expert in relationships. She's a therapist who describes herself as a surgeon for the soul. She acts like a mirror that holds up your life and your relationship to you so that you can see what is really going on and you can make powerful decisions about what you're going to do about it. She is the host of Love Goals, which is an incredible show on the OWN network on Saturday at 9 p.m. Her name is Spirit. I met her because she was on the Mel Robbins Show as an expert teaching us all about relationships. And I am sure you have started social distancing, physical distancing. Have you started spousal distancing? Well, buckle up, everybody, because today we are talking about love in the time of a pandemic. We're talking about how to survive this quarantine with your spouse or partner. And we are talking about the survival guide and the new rules that you need to follow in order to make sure that your love goals do not implode while you are self-isolating and basically on top of each other 24/7. So what do you say we bring in none other than Spirit? She is about to join us. I am super excited. I have learned so much from this amazing, wise, incredibly awesome woman. And she is about to join us right now. I see it connecting. I see her coming in. I'm so excited. How excited are you to see her coming? I hear her.
Can you see me?
I don't see you on Instagram yet. I see that it is connecting. And
I see like a frozen picture.
All right. You know what you might have to do? You might have to disable your Wi-Fi.
Okay, let me see. How do we make this happen? Disable the Wi-Fi. Nope, I don't have the Wi-Fi on. This is always fun.
That's all right. We're just doing a tech check right here. Mandy, you want to bring her onto the live stream broadcast? Let's see. Let me request you again. Go live. I'm going to send the request again, darling. Here we go. There she is. I see her on YouTube and on Facebook and on Instagram, or not on Instagram yet. On LinkedIn, Spirit is going to join us. I'm really excited. Do you see it on your phone yet, girl?
I do, but I still see my frozen picture. I don't know why it doesn't want to let me on today.
You know, Instagram has been kind of, to borrow a word from Mindy, my executive producer, a little hinky lately. Because everybody
doesn't want to let me be great today.
Trying to go live. So I'm wondering if we should bail on Instagram. What do you think, Mandy? I'm going to try. This happened with me and Sean P on Friday night. Let me try one more time. Let's try one more time, everybody. What do you say? We're going to see if we can't get Spirit to join us on Instagram. Oh, you know what, Mandy? It looks like Instagram is disabling the ability to bring somebody on live right now. They have been having all kinds of problems, everybody. All kinds of problems. Oh, let me see. Here we go. I see a view right now. Let's try this one more time. Talk to Spirit. Spirit, I see you waiting patiently. Wave to everybody.
So it says that you've accepted.
We see connecting. Here we go. Do you see connecting on your side?
Every time it comes up, I see myself, but just as a frozen picture.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. Let's see. Should I jump off of Instagram? What do you think I should do? I'm going to jump off of Instagram, and I apologize to you on Instagram. Let me tell you how I'm going to make it up.
Sorry, guys.
Here's how I'm going to make it up for everybody on Instagram. If you go over to Facebook, to YouTube, to LinkedIn, to Twitter, am I missing any platforms there? LinkedIn,
I think that's all of them.
Facebook, or Twitter. You can absolutely watch this broadcast live. The problem right now for everybody watching on Instagram is that Instagram is overloaded. This has been happening more and more and more and more with live streams on Instagram. They just cannot handle the demand.
Capacity.
So I'm going to jump off.
Yeah, everybody's home
here. I apologize, but we will see you on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and we will, of course, post video highlights back here. But come join us on the live broadcast right now on the other platforms. We're going to give you a second to jump on over. Okay, I want to end the broadcast. There we go. I'm going to share it to my story. I'm going to get my phone out of the way. I'm going to unmute my computer so I can hear you. All right, are we now here? Let's see.
How about now?
We are fantastic.
I love it. I love it. Instagram it's hard right now because everybody is doing the exact same thing. We're struggling to be close now more than ever. And so we have these popular platforms and they are overwhelmed because they're used to all of us being at work this time of day.
That's true. That's true. So I'm so excited that you're here, Spirit. Let me just give everybody a second to roll in and be able to join us from around the world. I want to thank you for rolling with the technology difficulties that we were facing today. I really appreciate that, everybody. And this is one of the opportunities of this really crazy moment in time, and that is the ability to roll with the punches. The ability to not get triggered by the little things that go wrong inevitably every day. And I'm so fired up that we've got Spirit here to be with us, not only because she is an incredibly wise and impactful therapist who is seeing clients through the pandemic, but she's also the host of Love Goals on OWN, where she is like trapped in a house with couples who are fighting. I mean, this is an unbelievable show. And she is working it out in what feels like real time Saturday nights at 9 p.m. And she also, by the way, everybody, has 7 kids, has been married for 13 years. If there is anybody on the planet that can help us deal with love in the time of a pandemic, it is this woman, Spirit, right here. So here, I'm losing my voice. I'm so excited.
It's okay. I got you. Same on this end.
What are the top issues, Spirit, that you're seeing? The top relationship issues that you're seeing right now in this unprecedented moment?
Well, more than anything, it's anxiety, right? Because anxiety is worried about the future. And with so much being uncertain right now, Mel, it's a very interesting time. People are worried about getting back to their own individual sense of normalcy. They're worried about all the new responsibilities that we've had to take on. A lot of us have not been used to cooking 3 square meals a day, have not been used to homeschooling children, have not been used to working from home and utilizing all of this technology in order to figure that out. Many of us are uncertain about our employment status. Many of us have been laid off or furloughed. This is an unprecedented time. And so what we're seeing more than anything is just pressure and worry about the unknown.
Now, what happens when you got two people, because we're going to focus today's live stream all about navigating the relationship issues that people are seeing once you are isolating together. I mean, the news reported that as soon as people came out of quarantine in China, the divorce rate spiked. So why is it that, you would think that if you're quarantined with the person that you love, that this would be the person you'd turn to? And instead, you find that you're on top of each other, you're nagging, you feel distant, the conflict bubbles up. How do we deal with this?
Yeah, well, the interesting thing is that I've told my clients, that whatever was present in your relationship before this shelter in place is now magnified. So if you were having an amazing relationship where you were excited to be together, you get along very well, you look forward to the closeness and that quality time and the close physical proximity, then you're probably enjoying this. As a matter of fact, you probably feel like you're locked in with your best friend and you can't get enough of this. And so you're one of those couples that have to be careful not to have the corona baby, as people are so poignantly coining this. But if you and your partner had been using anything else in order to kind of stay away from each other, to be distracted by work and not deal with your problems, to be distracted by your responsibilities and obligations with children and with family, or utilizing your friends or other outlets outside of your relationship in order to continue your relationship, well, of course, now you are feeling those problems and that pressure more than ever.
So how do you spousal distance then? If you're really feeling the pressure, what do you do if you're in the relationship that seems to be simmering towards conflict right now, Spirit?
Yeah, well, spousal distance can look one of two ways, Mel. It can look like physical distancing. And what that means is you go to your respective corner of whatever our living quarters look like, and I go to mine. And the two shall not meet unless we happen to wind up in a common place like the kitchen because we're both hungry at the same time, or we're both trying to get into the bathroom at the same time, or we needed some air, so we're on the balcony or on the porch at the same time. That's that physical distancing. But then there's also the emotional distancing. And that can mean that we are in the same room, but we don't know what we want to talk about because that elephant in the room has us so afraid to speak to each other. I know what's really bothering me and you know what's really bothering you. And it's so pressing that we're afraid that if I say anything, all roads are going to lead to that landmine and I'm just not ready to deal with it. Or I don't have the coping skills, or I don't believe that you do. So instead, what I do is just withdraw and I stay emotionally distant. And we just really are having this polite relationship. We're roommates kind of tiptoeing around each other right now.
You use the big R word, roommates.
Yeah.
So I have had a number of people write to us, and you can send a question, either put it in the comments or you can email me, askmel@melrobbins.com. One of the big ones that we got is I thought that by spending more time together, it would bring my spouse and partner, and I closer together, but I feel like roommates. So what do you do if here you are in this moment in time, you're together all the time, but now it's in your face that you are just roommates?
Yeah, well, I think it's important for people to know that it's not time that brings us closer, but what we do with the time that we have. And so if you find, wow, I'm here and I thought that this would be a great time with you, but all of a sudden I feel more like a roommate more than anything. What I say is we have to name the elephant in the room because we cannot change what we will not acknowledge. The thing about it, though, is that you have to be you have to be careful in how you bring that to your partner. That is of the utmost importance. So if you bring it to them.
How do you bring it to the partner? So I've already learned some, you cannot you cannot change what you're unwilling to name.
That's
Number
right.
one.
If you can't name a thing, then you cannot fix a thing. You cannot repair a thing. And your partner is not a mind reader, so they can't know exactly what it is that you're talking about. So you have to be willing to stand in the gap and address the problem. But as my folks have heard me say so many times, you have to know that you are not the problem and your partner is not the problem. The problems in your relationship are the problem. And it's up to the two of you to work together to resolve those problems on the same team. And on the same team is the part that becomes so critical. So instead of blaming or attacking, so then your partner naturally feels inclined to defend and you never really resolve the problem, it's about talking about how you see the problem. And the problem is about you, right? I feel like you're my roommate in this situation. That's not how you feel. That doesn't mean you're doing anything. That's how I'm experiencing our time together. And so what you have to do is first decide we're in agreement about the problem. And now what solutions can we work towards implementing in our relationship so that I'm having a different experience, but also checking in with your partner to see how they're feeling in the experience as well. They might not feel that way at all and might be totally unaware that that's how you're feeling.
So if I unpack this, what you're saying is if you feel like you have become a roommate with your spouse, that number one, you got to bring it up. And number two, the way that you bring it up is not you're acting like a roommate, you. It's I feel.
Right. I feel, let me tell you what's happening or not happening that's causing me to translate a roommate feeling. Perhaps you're not talking to me the way that I thought you would talk to me or the way I want you to talk to me. Perhaps we're not talking about the things that I want to talk about. Perhaps we're not having enough physical interaction. Perhaps we're not having enough sexual interaction. Perhaps we're not spending enough quality time. And it's important that you talk about these as objective things because you and your partner could be having the exact same experience, but even still for different reasons. Perhaps your partner is dealing with their anxieties related to the pandemic and it's causing them to withdraw. Perhaps they're worried about friends or family outside of the home or financial situations. And how you're interpreting that is you're personalizing it and making it about you. They're not wanting to spend time with you. They're not engaging you, but really it has nothing to do with you. And so if you're not careful about just objectively talking about what the experience is, but assigning meaning to it, then that will get you in trouble. So you have to be really careful to just talk about it objectively and give your partner space to interject in what you believe is happening.
Wow. And then not brace for the worst if you bring it up. How do you
Right. Not bracing for the worst, but also being prepared to have to deal with the worst. Right? Because in couples work, I always like to talk to my clients in terms of what is the worst case scenario. And for the worst case scenario, there's always three parts. There's you, there's your partner, and there's your relationship. So if we're going to talk about a thing, we have to be prepared that we have a fear, which is probably why we've been avoiding talking about the thing. So if we're going to talk about the problem that you feel like a roommate, what could be the worst case scenario for you? What could be the worst case scenario for your partner? And what could be the worst case scenario here for your relationship? And oftentimes those are three very different parts. And so we have to decide what would we do in the event that the worst case scenario actually happens.
Hold on, Spirit. I'm understanding that you seem frozen in the broadcast. So I'm going to wait for you to come back. Can you try to join with the link my producer just resent?
Okay.
Wait for you to come right back.
Okay.
Thank you, Sawyer. My daughter just popped in to tell me because I can only see my camera. So I'm going to sit right here, everybody. Wow, we are having Tap Dance Monday here or Mechanical Failure Monday, which is all about having things not work. And have you noticed something about me, everybody? Do I even seem bothered or frazzled? Of course not. Why? Because it's not worth giving yourself a headache worrying about shit you can't control. And technology is one of those things that I can't control. You want to know one thing that was happening for me, though, on this broadcast, if I'm going to confess something to you? I threw out my freaking notes for this interview. And so halfway through this interview, everybody, I started to discreetly try to figure out where the fuck are my notes? Because I have such good questions and your questions are written on the notes. What did I do with the notes in my frenzy to clean up for this live broadcast? And so I noticed that I was literally looking around, trying to discreetly see, did I put them in a drawer? Did I do this in my frenzy to clean things up? Did I throw them in the waste paper? I have no idea what I did with my notes for this interview. Hold on one second. I'm going to check over here and see if I maybe put them out of the way, because I can't, for the life of me, find my freaking notes. Oh, here they are. Yes, I found my notes. And we're going to get her back, I think. And if not, I guess I'll just take questions. You know what, Mandy, what I'm going to do is I'm going to FaceTime my producer, Mandy, so I at least have a lifeline here. If you have questions for Spirit, why don't I just make sure that my earpod things are going to disconnecting reconnect Bluetooth devices. Isn't it so entertaining to watch me do tech? This is called a 51-year-old lady trying to figure out how to make things work. That's what we're going to recall this. Okay, let's see if my little ear pod things will work. Let's call Mandy. We might have to just start this whole thing over. It is what it is. Oh, no, okay. Let me see if I can get now you're not my, hi, Mandy. And now I'm connecting my AirPod. Oh, there we go. Okay. Hello. Are we still waiting on her? No problem. We're going to take some of your questions. Lucky you. See, we're turning this into an opportunity for you. And if for whatever reason we can't get Spirit back today, we will get her back another time, because we have unbelievable questions about relationships. How do you deal with the silent treatment? What do you do if you have somebody who continues to escalate conflict? I want to know that one, because apparently escalating conflict, according to Spirit, is a coping mechanism. And that rings a little true for me, because I'm one of those people that escalates things. And so I want to learn about that. If you have a question, it doesn't have to be about relationships. You can just put them in the comments and we will answer some questions. LinkedIn, hello. Oh. Okay, if you and your spouse are not on the same page about what you want to use your free time for, how do you deal with that? I think what we're going to find out from Spirit is that you've got to deal with these things head on. I've been married for 23 years and hinting doesn't work. Guilt trips don't work. Emotional manipulation doesn't work. It just leads to resentment and to miscommunication. And the only thing that seems to work, and your spouse and partner will appreciate this, is direct communication. And given that we are in a brand new, unprecedented experience that none of us have ever gone through before, so none of us have any experience navigating something like this. We are literally making this up as we go along. I'm going to go back to the original advice that I keep coming back to. Routine, 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 routine. You and your partner and your family, if you have kids with you or extended family with you, you have got to come up with a new routine. And that's a routine that is both taking into account what you need to do personally for you to support yourself through this, but also what do individual members of your family, and more importantly, your spouse, need to be supported through this. And you said that you and your spouse can't agree on what to do with your free time. So here's an idea. Don't try to plan your free time together. Go through your day and figure out what your routine's going to be. And if at night you don't want to do the same thing, you don't have to do the same thing. It's okay. One of the things that's also made a big difference for my husband and I, and I understand Spirit's back. I'm going to wrap up this question. We're going to bring her right back in. Is every night when we go around the table at night, we go 0 to 10. How are you feeling? That allows us to have a deeper emotional connection without getting too woo-woo, because a lot of people don't like that. And then I always ask everybody, what's coming up tomorrow and what support do you need? And that way you are using the framework of those questions around the dinner table to make sure that your routine the next day, that you've thought about it and that you've asked for the support that you need, because every day is different. Every day's a new day. We literally are making this up as we go along. And now I want to bring Spirit back in. Thank you, everybody, for hanging with us. There she is. I see your beautiful
Can you see me again? Am I moving? Am I a picture now?
You are fantastic. Yes, I see you.
Okay.
I see you. So let's regroup here. So for those of you just joining us, thank you for your patience. I am Mel Robbins. I'm the best-selling author of The 5-Second Rule and 3 #1 audiobooks on Audible. I also am the host of the daytime syndicated talk show, The Mel Robbins Show. This is a live broadcast that I do 5 days a week to help us all stay connected. I have Spirit joining us. Spirit is not only a rock star therapist, she is the host of a hit show on OWN. It airs on Saturday nights at 9 p.m. It's called Love Goals. And I wanted her to come on because in addition to dropping so much knowledge and wisdom, every time I am with Spirit, I literally have to back the truck up and go, whoa, 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 whoa. What did you just say? Because I am learning so much from you. And I want to talk about how to navigate this new normal that is not normal, of being in a house, social distancing, where you are also at times feeling like you want to spousal distance. And clearly there are going to be issues that come up. This is not going to be like some sort of honeymoon. We did not plan. No. We did not board a plane for this. This is not a vacation. We are not even working from home. We are in quarantine, trying to get work done. We are not in vacation together. We are in quarantine, trying not to bite each other's heads off.
Yeah, and we're under pressure.
Correct. So how do we deal with the new pressure that we're feeling as individuals and how that's going to impact our relationship, Spirit?
Yeah, you know, one of the biggest things that I think is important during this time is recognizing that everything, just like before, has its own time and place. And so in the same way that you used to have a schedule, you still need to have a schedule, but now it needs to include some new things. And so that includes emotional check-ins with each other. That may also include, as we talked about before, acknowledging that our relationship has some real problems, but electing to schedule time to solve those problems, just like you would schedule time for anything else. And so it becomes very important to say, listen, as you said, Mel, we are quarantined here. This is not a vacation. This is not a honeymoon. We did not plan for this. And so since we didn't plan for this, can we now make some plans to have this experience look as best as it can for us, whatever that's going to look like? And so how about once a day or once a week, we attempt to tackle some of those problems in our relationship so the two of us can feel better, but can we also take some time to tackle some of the emotional and physical desires that we have for making our relationship better and schedule some time to address that as well?
So when you say make our relationship better and kind of support each other through this new normal, what could it even look like? Because I think a lot of us at this point, I mean, we're moving into week 4 of self-quarantine here.
Yeah.
And my husband, God bless him, turned to me the other night and said, you know, I just want you to know, it's not that I'm not attracted to you. It's literally, I'm so exhausted just getting through the day that all desire to make love, fool around, be intimate, I'm just zapped.
It's zapped. Yeah. But you know what? Kudos to him for telling you that, So then when you see his behavior that it's not you, it's not about you, it's not towards you, it is what he's experiencing. And then it empowers you to decide how you want to respond to possibly support him.
And if screaming at him and making him wrong, would that be a positive way?
Yeah, not unless he says that that's what he needs. If he's got some interesting S&M fetish, and perhaps that's another conversation for another day. But if that's his thing, then sure. But if not, it's really about, wow, honey, I maybe perhaps didn't even realize that you were experiencing our time together like this. What can I do to make it better?
What can I do to make our time together better?
Yeah.
That is an amazing question to ask. I was just sharing before you were able to rejoin us that every night around the dinner table, we've been doing this little game that I've found so incredibly helpful. We go 0 to 10. How are you feeling today? Or we do percentages, 0 to 100. Oh, our son loves percentages. Yesterday, he was a 95. It was amazing. One of our daughters was a 25, but I find it's a great way to check in. But then we also talk about what's happening tomorrow for everybody individually and what can I do to support you? And I think constantly asking, what can I do to make this better is a great, simple tool.
You know, you would be amazed by how not only simple that is, but how relieving it is for everybody. Because one, it doesn't require you to be a mind reader. So it absolves you of the responsibility for trying to not only figure it out, but to, exhaust your resources, your emotional resources, your financial resources, your limited time resources in order to say, I think this is what would make them happy. I think they would like this. And you make the effort to do all of that, especially in these pressurized times. And then you're met with, thanks. Or what did you do that for? Which doesn't feel good for you or them, right? So instead of having to try to figure it out, you allow them to tell you, and then it becomes, oh, that's what you need? Sure thing, I can do that. And you feel supported and they feel supported, and it keeps the train moving.
So I have some questions. We already dealt with this one, but I want to ask it again because we were having issues with the screen freezing. And this is an email that we got to ask Mel at melrobbins.com, and that's where you can send your questions. I can feel my partner and I becoming more like roommates in routines, communication, becoming less intimacy, not sex, slipping away. It's sad on top of the obvious sadness that I feel about the coronavirus. What can we do?
Yeah. So first and foremost, it's important that you not decide that you know what it's about. Our brains have this really unique way of telling a story because it constantly needs to make sense of things. That's part of our survival mechanism. So we automatically decide not only do we know what's happening, but we tell a story about why we think it's happening. And so I think it's important that we allow our partners to kind of get in there and inform and shape the story by simply acknowledging what is, without assigning meaning and without deciding that they are somehow the cause of this. I tell my clients all the time, you are not the problem and your partner is not the problem. The problems are the problem. And it's up to the two of you to remain on the same team in order to solve that problem. So instead of bringing it to your partner to say, well, you're doing this or you're not doing this, it's about telling your partner the experience that you are having, one, the experience that you would like to have, two, and to see what it would take, if it's possible, for you to be able to have that experience, three. And then the last part about that is also checking in to make sure that we're not being selfish in what we need, but to also check in to see what experience our partner is having and what they may need in this thing too, because we have two different needs in order to make our relationship feel whole and fulfilled.
What are the two different needs? You mean the needs
Well,
of
there's
you versus your partner, or are there two?
right. There's always those three parts, Mel. It's what I'm experiencing, what you're experiencing, and then what our relationship is being, how it's affecting our relationship. And so sometimes what I need may not necessarily be what's in the best interest of my relationship or in the best interest of my partner. So we have to talk about what my individual needs are. We have to talk about what my partner's individual needs are. And then we have to come up with a joint consensus about what ultimately is in the best interest of our relationship and move in that direction.
Got it. That feels like a lot of work, honestly.
In the beginning, it is, right? And that's why I'm such a huge fan of counseling. That's why I'm such a huge fan of premarital counseling and of relationship counseling. Because if you do the hard work on the front end, much like building a house, I tell my clients all the time that your relationship is literally a home. It's the home that you're going to live in ultimately for the rest of your life. And so in the beginning, laying that foundation, doing the digging and understanding that most houses have that foundation and some even have a basement. And that is the ultimate foundation that you build up on. Once you build the structure and the frame, living in the house is the easy part. But if you don't build a solid foundation, then it becomes difficult. So if you've never done the work on your relationship, if you've never laid out a beautiful garden, how do you expect to reap the benefits of the harvest?
Well, what I love about what you're saying is using this simple tool. What do you need? How can I support you? And of talking about the problem, I feel like roommates.
Yeah.
And how do we, what is it? What are you feeling? Maybe this time of isolation is an awesome opportunity to work on your relationship and become even closer. I mean, is that possible when we're under so much stress?
It's absolutely possible. And, now it's as good a time as any to be able to do that. And remember, it's the balance. You're dealing with the problems, but you're also scheduling that time to get what you need in this relationship. And so you don't have to tackle all the problems in one day. You don't have to tackle them even all under this self-imposed sheltering in place at home. But it's to really say, can we acknowledge that our relationship is not perfect, because no relationship ever will be, but how do we prune these weeds constantly? So can we just come to a consensus of what we think the problems are in our relationship? And can we set aside time to be able to tackle those problems? But can we also identify the things that you and I both need in order for this relationship to be what we want it to be, right? I chose you and I chose our relationship for a particular set of reasons, for what I thought I was going to get out of it, for what at one point in time I was getting out of it, and for what I still need and want to get out of it now and as we move forward. And so instead of expecting you to just know that, can I remind you or identify those things for you? Can you do the same for me? And then can we actively commit to working together to fulfill those things? And if we're making those efforts with our partner, if we're showing up for our partner in those ways, if our partner even sees us trying to attempt to meet those needs, it will automatically begin to bring us closer and increase that intimacy between us, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, sexually, you name it. We will be where we want to be.
I was just looking down because my dog somehow pushed open the door of the office, and what I needed was for Chris.
It's okay. Look, my cats are pacing outside of the door going, if only I can figure out how to get in, I am going to be a part of this conversation.
Totally. Well, the problem with our dog is that if I'm talking to somebody on the computer, he starts barking. And I don't know if it's because he wants attention or he thinks you're
doesn't recognize the voice.
All right. I've got a great question from Anna. My husband won't nag the kids, but will nag me about what the kids do and don't do. It's getting worse. How should I address this with him? I have the same problem with Chris.
Do you?
Yes. He will literally say to me something like, it's 2:00 and none of these damn kids have done anything with this dog that everybody begged us to get. Could you please go up and tell our son? And then, of course, I go up and I tell our son the one thing that makes him move, which is your father is upset with
Oh.
the fact that you have not walked the dog. And then Oakley comes down and, of course, outs me and says, Mom says you're mad at me. At which point Chris then turns and goes, why do you have to make me the bad guy? And so we have this like nagging circle situation going on. Spirit, help me.
Okay, I got you. Here is the problem, is that mom and dad are not a united front. That is what happens. And our kids, unfortunately, can see it. I swear, it's like they have this, they're like bloodhounds here, and they can sniff out when mom and dad aren't on the same page. So this is why it's important that behind the scenes, mom and dad are a team. There is a singular message, and there is a singular set of expectations, rules, and consequences, both positive and negative, for the children. So they know that no matter which one of us is talking, the message is the exact same. So you can't go to mom and get one experience and go to dad and get another experience, even though we may individually have some different ways of thinking and doing things. But when we come together, we are one. And so our children know that both mom and dad will deal out the same punishment. Both mom and dad will give the same incentives. Both mom and dad have the same expectations. So behind the scenes, mom and dad have to get on the same page. And it doesn't matter whether one is the disciplinarian or the other is the disciplinarian. We're both going to discipline and show up in the same way.
So if I am understanding you correctly, when I go up to Oakley's room, I should not say your father. I should say, I need you to.
Right, because it says that dad is the one who's the disciplinarian. Dad is the one who has expectations for responsibility and accountability. Mom is the nice one that just kind of is delivering the message. So mom is the soft place to fall who says, hey, I'm actually in alignment with you. Dad is the one that's making you do this. Instead of, you know what your responsibility and obligation is to the house. It's that time. And so I'm coming up to deliver the message. It just happened to be mom, but it could have easily been dad.
You know, you said a really important word. You said alignment. And when I throw Chris under the bus, which is the phrase he uses when he gets angry with me.
Absolutely.
I have aligned myself with our kids, and it's a betrayal of our partnership.
Yes, because that's how it feels, right? No parent wants to be the bad guy. No parent wants to be the one where the children are mad at them, but they're okay with the other parent, right? And so what you do is you say, it's dad who's requiring you to do something that you really don't want to do right now. And I'm just the one who's coming to let you know because I'm in alignment with you.
That's big. I'm just letting that sort of settle in.
Yeah.
Because I do that to Chris a lot. I'm willing to admit that I'm an asshole in my marriage.
Yeah, because you become the good cop, right? You become the fun parent. You become the parent that, hey, mom, would you talk to dad about this? And dad becomes the muscle and the strong arm. He's the gatekeeper. And so that becomes it's an inequity in power between you all in your children's relationship. And no parent wants to be the losing end on their kids' love.
Well, and I guess what I also realize, and this is, I mean, I'm just unpacking this because I think this very real but dumb example of how this plays out inside our family every day. It's indicative of the fact that we're not on the same page, because I personally don't think the dog needs to be walked 3 times. I think the fact that he's walked for an hour in the morning is fine, and he gets a big walk in the afternoon. And so I don't like the fact that here I am. I need to get Chris in here. So
this is awesome. This is awesome. You are connecting the dot, right? And so what it says is, I see things one way. My partner sees things the other way, and we've never come into agreement with how our home is going to operate in this area. So since we're not in agreement, subconsciously, how I'm showing up is based upon my beliefs. So even when I deliver it to my son, the subliminal message that he's picking up is, I don't really want this. I don't really agree with it, but your dad wants it, so do it for him.
Yep. Bingo. And there's a small amount of me that sort of resents the fact that he's turning me into the battering ram.
Yeah.
That he wants.
Yeah. Yeah. So you got to get into alignment. And once you make a decision, if the two of you were in agreement, then you would show up totally different with your kids. And so anytime we're not in agreement as a team, you have to have that moment with partners where you talk about what you believe, what they believe, and then you say, okay, so what are we doing here? Ultimately, what are we agreeing to? And then that becomes what it is. And so you're honoring your agreement between each other. And that's what's important, because your kids need to see you in agreement. They don't need to know, okay, well, really, when I want something, I know which parent to go to because I know how mom feels about certain things and I know how dad feels. So let me play them off of each other in order to get what it is that I want.
So here's what I got from this. So tonight, when Chris and I have our check-in together, which happens before we cook dinner, we need to talk about the schedule for the dog, what he believes, what I believe, and what we are going to do about it.
Yeah.
And we need to get that shit on the schedule.
You have to. And if you want to score some major points, Mel, you can score some major points by starting out to say, you know what? I think I owe you an apology here. You know, matter of fact, no. I know I owe you an apology here because I've been an asshole here on this thing. Yeah. I hadn't agreed with you prior to now about how this should be done. And I recognize that how I'm showing up, my behavior and my words are not in alignment. And I want us to be on the same page so we can squash this thing in the house once and for all.
Let me tell everybody why it's so important and why I unpacked that example deliberately. Because this is the stuff that ends a marriage.
Yes.
It's nitpicky stuff where you start to feel undermined and betrayed, but you can't put your finger on it. And that creates emotional distance where resentments start to build. And then they build in bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger ways. And getting back to the basics of having these sort of conversations where, to use your word, you get aligned with each other and where you sniff out all those places where all the little bickering, the nagging, the disagreements, the eye rolling, that stuff, that's where you're out of alignment.
Yeah. And it creates a pattern in the behavior, right? And so what happens is, this is how I get clients who come in and they're in conflict, thinking about divorce or separating, or when they really start to talk about the problems and they go, you know, you always do this to me. You always throw me under the bus. You're always undermining me. And the other person is going, well, what are you talking about? Tell me when. Give me one time when I've done that. And the other person is going, you know, I mean, I can't give you just one specific example. I just can't rattle it off. But you do this every time. Because what happens is, how we show up in one place in our relationship is how we tend to show up in others. And so if we've never gotten in alignment, we've never built that singular foundation for our relationship, we just kind of operate as two individuals within the relationship across the board. So when we're undermining or throwing each other under the bus or operating according to our own individual set of rules in one area, we do it in multiple areas too. And our partner just continues to have the same experience with us in the relationship over and over and over.
So I want to talk about the two toxic behaviors that we're getting a lot of questions about. The first toxic behavior in the relationship is, how do you deal with somebody who gives you the silent treatment?
Okay. So silent really means there is a reason why I'm not bringing forth an issue. And so before you get to what the issue actually is, you want to get to the reason for the behavior. Okay. And again, this is where we don't assume, right? We see a behavior, so we address the elephant in the room. I often feel like I get a silent treatment from you. Doesn't mean that I am, but that's my experience of what's happening. The reason why you want to say it that way, because your partner may say, well, I'm just kind of in my head these days, or I'm just thinking a lot. And you're experiencing their silence, but that's not what they're intending. There's no ill or negative intention behind it. So you want to talk about what your experience is. The other part of that is, if they say, well, you know, yeah, I have been kind of just keeping my mouth closed. You want to get to the reason for that. Is it because they don't think that you can handle it? You're going to blow up. You're going to get pissed off. You're going to scream, or you're going to become silent and withdraw from them, right? Is it because they haven't figured out exactly how to bring it to you yet. They're not sure what it is that they're feeling, and they're still trying to work it out. You don't know what the reason is. So if you're getting silent treatment, then you talk about what your experience is, and you talk about what you would like to have happen. I really wish that we could talk about our problems or what you're experiencing while it's happening in real time. Or I really wish we could set aside some time every night or every week or whatever it is to be able to talk. Talk about what you're hoping to get, and then ask your partner, what would it take for us to have that experience? What would I need to do? How do I need to show up? What do I need to help with in order for me to receive this level of communication from you?
I keep hearing the same thing. What do I need to do? What am I feeling? And that's because whenever you say you, they go on the attack or the defense, right?
That's right. The moment that you say you lose your partner. And the reason for that, again, Mel, these are reflexive, automatic, involuntary processes. It's not our partner doing it. It's not us doing it when we're on the other side. But the moment that you say you, the brain automatically goes for a check-in in order to prove or disprove something. So if you say, you're doing this to me, the person, you lose them in the conversation because now they go into their head in order to fact check. And their brain starts recognizing and moving all these pictures in real time to see if what you're saying is true or not. And our brains naturally look for exceptions to the rule. This is why we become defensive, because our brain looks for any one time where that's not true in order to now say, you know what? No, wait a minute. You said that that's what I'm always doing. I don't do that. And so all of a sudden you get into an argument, not about the thing that you originally wanted to talk about, but you get into an argument about whether or not that thing is actually happening, and you never solve the problem. This is why couples have the same argument year after year for 20 and 30 years in their relationship.
So the one word that will stop you from arguing incessantly with your spouse is I.
Mm-hmm. I, right? I, because you can't tell me that I'm not experiencing something. You can't tell me that I'm not feeling a thing. I tell folks all the time, when somebody tells you how you feel or how they feel, you don't get to decide that they don't have the right to feel that way. And you can't say that they're not thinking a certain thing or having a particular experience. So as long as I make this about me and what my experience is, I'm always right about me. The moment I tell you about you, then I'm here inferring or assuming a particular thing.
Now, I read on your Instagram,
and
I thought this was fascinating, that when you're in a relationship with somebody who escalates conflict, that escalating conflict is a coping mechanism.
Oh, yes.
And given that everybody feels uncertain right now, everybody's triggered, people are worried about stuff, I am sure that there is a lot of conflict in people's relationships right now. And what I want to know is, how do you de-escalate conflict when your partner is somebody that continues to raise it? And what does it mean that it's a coping mechanism?
Okay, so first and foremost, escalation means we're just taking things up a notch, right? And there's often reasons why we take things up a notch. Sometimes we escalate to a conflict because if I can get you all worked up, then we move away from solving the problem. Okay, so if you want to talk about a thing and I don't necessarily want to talk about a thing, I may start to talk about you. I may become critical of you. I may explode. I may just kind of do whatever I need to do in order to end talking about this thing. So escalation is often the distraction, or escalation can often mean too, I'm not thinking you're listening to me. And we're in a tug of war with each other. So if you're not listening to me, every time you say a thing and it's not in validation of what it is that I'm saying, I'm going to become more frustrated. I'm going to become more angry, and I'm going to be fixed right here. I'm not going to move and honor anything that you're talking about. I'm not going to be constructive to what it is that you're asking me for. I'm going to sit parked right here with my feet firmly fixed in my position until you honor and validate and acknowledge what it is that I'm talking about. So this escalation just becomes a very tit for tat kind of thing. And so when you're wanting to work towards de-escalation, it's a very interesting thing. And most people, where they lose the battle in de-escalating a conflict between themselves and their partner, believe it or not, it's usually in the initial steps. So everything else falls apart.
Really?
So what I tell people is, yeah, they lose it in the very first step. And the reason for that is because what you have to know is when your partner is used to you behaving in a particular kind of way, fights usually build in the same pattern. And so I can talk to couples all the time about, like, what is your partner and yours pattern and how you fight and move towards conflict. And they'll say something like, okay, so I'll say this, and then they'll make a face, or I'll know that they're getting pissed off because they'll sigh or their brows will do a certain thing. And so they'll take that as a nonverbal or a passive aggressive form of communication that escalates. And then they say, so now you're mad, or now you're pissed off. And so we're slowly working our way up. But what you have to know is when you want to de-escalate, your partner throws the jab. And what you have to do is, instead of going up where they are, you have to go one step below where you were.
Okay, hold on.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So as your partner escalates, and I will admit, I am the one that throws the bird fit. And what I'm realizing is that when I get worked up, the conversation stops. So it's my way to control what we're talking about, learning about myself here. But so as Chris hears that jagged edge of a tone, he has a decision, by the way, which makes me immediately drop it.
So he has a decision to make. Now, either he can know that you just took it up a notch and he can try to one up you by saying, you know, now you're pissed off, or there you go, that you're doing it.
Oh, there you go.
Attacks, right?
Yes.
Because it attacks you, and then it makes you want to go up too. So what he needs to do is you throw the jab, and instead he can say, honey, I'm not looking to upset you. Right? He can acknowledge what it is that you're experiencing, or he can say, honey, let's take a second so that I'm here and I love you. I'm just trying to solve the problem. I'm not saying that it's you. I'm not saying that it's me. So he goes down. Now, this is where most people make the mistake and lose it, because they can do that one and go, okay, so I de-escalated, Spirit. I took that first step. Now, what the partner is naturally going to do, because they're used to you going here, so their response is going to go up a notch again, because they're ready for the conflict. They're used to the conflict. They're bracing and baiting for the usual conflict. So they go up one more step. And now, because they've gone up after you've gone down, you may feel wounded, you may feel frustrated, you may feel vulnerable or rejected. So then all of a sudden you shoot right up to where they are. Instead of saying, I see that you're getting more upset, I'm just going to stay right here. I'm going to stay right here and meet you. I'm not fighting you. I'm not upset with you. I'm not angry with you. I'm trying to work out this thing. And I love you, and we're in this together. And after a while, the person can't keep going up because they're actually slapboxing with themselves, and they start to look like an idiot. They start to feel bad because here they are going in, reaming you, and you're not fighting back. So eventually it will make them come back down. But if you go up with them, you just keep going up until you explode.
Has Chris been secretly having sessions with you and getting this advice? Because I feel like he has been.
Are his coping strategies a little better here? He's got the de-escalation techniques down.
I have two more questions before we end. And this is a really important one because we're getting a lot of questions about co-parenting. Nancy emailed, I'm divorced. Normally we have about a 60% me, 40% him agreement. I need to keep the kids here because my ex keeps going to work. I don't want to keep him from them. I've tried to wait 2 weeks to see if all are healthy, but he keeps going into his office after a few days at home. How do I handle the situation with him and have him realize what I'm trying to prevent in terms of a health risk without starting a fight?
Well, you know, the hard part here is that you may not be able to do that without starting a fight. Because if you don't have the kind of relationship where you saw eye to eye in your relationship, then you likely are not going to see eye to eye here. And so you want to be careful to avoid a power struggle here with your other parent. And every state is different. Now what I will tell you is I have two different perspectives here because I'm a co-parent myself. I have my older children from a first marriage, and then I also have a stepdaughter. And so going back and forth between houses, this is a very personal experience, and it also varies state by state. So, for example, Mel, here in the state of Georgia, where I am, the governor actually signed, I think on the 3rd of April, he actually had to do an addendum to his executive order stating that custody exchanges and visitation rights were part of essential activities. And so he's actually allowing the children and has made it a law that those visitation guidelines stay in place. So first and foremost, I would say check with your state legislation to see exactly if there is language that speaks to this and what is legal during this time and what is not. Now, my personal opinion here is that it's not safe to have folks kind of going back and forth between two houses. If we're sheltering in place, that means literally stay where you are. And so we've had to make, for example, in my own house, we had to make the tough decision with my stepdaughter to give her the option. Hey, listen, we don't feel safe with you going back and forth between two houses because we're not in control of what your mom and her family does there, and she's not in control of what we do here. So which would you prefer? Would you prefer to stay sheltered with us or sheltered there? And in the beginning, she said, well, I want to go to school. I want to stay with my friends. And of course, we knew that that wasn't going to be the case, but we said, okay, so you understand consequence at the age that you're at. So that means that you'll be forced to stay there because we can't have you going back and forth to school and with your friends and all of those things. So when you're dealing with co-parents, first and foremost, you try to see if you can come to an agreement. And if you can't, then it doesn't make sense to fight. It doesn't make sense to get into conflict. And unfortunately, sometimes you have to do what's in the best interest and the safety of your children, which may put you at odds with the other co-parent. So what I would say is, I'm not a lawyer, and maybe you might know this a little better, but I would say if the other parent is not in agreement and they are absolutely saying that they want to elect to exercise their visitation now, and you don't think it's in the safety of your children, you may have to consult with a lawyer and look at some emergency filings in order to get a final decision and a legally binding decision in this area. But I would say this is life and death here. This is not just a, hey, I just don't feel like you having the kids, or I don't think you're going to do a good job. This has the potential to not only harm and ultimately maybe kill my children, but everybody in our household and yours as well. So these are life and death choices. We really have to talk about this and put safety first.
Awesome. Final question. If you had to bottom line the survival guide of essential tools that you need to deploy right now in order for your relationship to not only survive this pandemic and quarantine, but to, dare I say, thrive?
Yeah. This is a good one. I would say it's about striking the balance between problem solving and elimination and intimacy integration. Right?
Okay, hold on. You just said you got to strike a balance between problem solving
and elimination and intimacy integration. Okay. Understanding that we all have different needs right now, and what we need now may not have even been what we needed before we were sheltered in place. So before I can tell you what I need, I first have to get clear in myself. What do I need to be okay right now? Do I need a certain amount of distance and quiet and solitude and self time to get me together? And is that in the mornings? Is that in the middle of the day? Is that in the evenings? What do I need? And then what do I want my partner to do? What is their role in that? And then do I know those same things for my partner? Right? So then we have to decide, hey, babe, you know what? Every night at the end of the night, I'd love to have 15 or 20 minutes of kind of pillow talk before you drift off to sleep. Or I'd love for us to have movie night or date night once a week. I don't want to see you in those frumpy flannels with your hair all pulled up. I'd love to see you look as beautiful for me in the house as you look for the rest of the world when you went out to work. Or I'd love to see you kind of shower up or shave or work from the other side of the house today so that I can read or sip tea and kind of have some girl time or have some me time. right? What do we need in order to feel whole and full and complete, first as an individual, then within our relationship? We're checking with our partner so they know that we're in tune and we care about them and we're connected with them. And then how are we going to work together to solve the real problems that we recognize are in our relationship? Whether we're agreeing that we can't do it, and maybe we need to even think about doing some therapy right now. Let me just put in that plug that us therapists are still working. And so if you're sheltered in place, now may be as good a time as any to think about some individual therapy and some couples therapy. And the great thing about that, Mel, is that for folks who have insurance, most of the insurance companies are waiving the deductibles and the co-pays right now. So you could technically meet with therapists and do therapy right now at really no out-of-pocket cost to you. Wow. So it's how do we solve the problems that we know are in our relationship, or at least identify them and make plans to resolve those. So we are addressing the elephant in the room. We know it's there, but we're not pressed about it. We know that we're going to work together to resolve them, but we're also meeting each other and reassuring each other. Now more than ever, I am committed to you. I am supportive of you. I not only love you, but I am in love with you, or I have the desire to get back to that place with you. So how do we need to show up for one another and for our relationship?
Well, I'm sitting here thinking that turning to Chris and saying, you're not going to shower before dinner? Probably not.
It's a totally different experience than, one of the things that turned me on so much is when you are soapy fresh. And I would love to have that experience with you sometime in the very near future, maybe even tonight, if you're open to it.
I got a lot of room to grow here. But I liked that you said the most is it begins with you. Because if you're not even aware of what your needs are, there's no way in hell your partner can fulfill them.
No, and they are not mind readers. So you have to know they cannot respond to what you will not communicate.
Got it. Wow.
Yeah.
Spirit, thank you so much for just rolling with it while we experienced technical difficulties. I really appreciate it. Saturday night, 9 p.m. Your new favorite show is Love Goals on OWN. You can hang with Spirit and watch her help couples achieve their love goals while she's dropping in knowledge bombs left and right. It is an emotional roller coaster and full of wisdom. I really appreciate you being here with us, and I can't wait to talk to you again.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Mwah. I'll come back anytime you ask. I love you, and I love your audience.
All right, we're good. Hey, how are you? Let me just make sure I have my computer volume on. Do I have it on? Here we go. How are you? I'm Mel Robbins. I am the best-selling author of The 5-Second Rule. I'm the host of the daytime syndicated talk show, The Mel Robbins Show. And this is Stay Connected with Mel Robbins. It's a live stream that I do every single weekday around the world. I'm here at 9 o'clock in the morning, East or West Coast time, noon East Coast time. If you're in the UK, I think it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. If you're in India, it's 9:30 right now. And if you are one of our friends in Australia, then it is about 3 o'clock in the morning, which means I hope to God you're not watching. I hope you are not watching this live. I hope you are, I'm looking for there I am. I'm looking for my broadcast on my iPad so that I can look at your comments as I'm going live. So why don't you tell me, let's get started. We have something so excited today. I am going and doing something brand new. We are using this time to coach you. We are using this time to answer your questions. And if you have ever thought to yourself, I wish I could talk to Mel. I wish I could ask Mel this question. I bet a lot of other people are dealing with this, and I would love to ask her this question. Guess what? We are bringing you and your questions onto this broadcast every single noon Eastern during the week. I'm so excited I can't even put a sentence together. So what does that mean? That means you are getting the world's best coach as your personal life coach every single weekday. I am showing up here for you. Now, I know you're already wondering, how the heck do I get on the show with you, Mel? How do I get on this live stream? For right now, this is how we're going to do it. Send an email to askmel@melrobbins.com. And you need to include your phone number, and you need to include your question. Why? The reason why is because one of my producers will reach out to you and will talk to you ahead of this broadcast so that you are all set. In just a minute, we are going to go to Buffalo, New York, where Angie is standing by. Today's question is something I'm sure everybody can relate to, which is, are you finding it harder than ever to focus? Yes, I'm sure you are. Everybody is. And if you have ADD or ADHD, is it being triggered by being in quarantine and all of this uncertainty? Are you having difficulty focusing and getting things done while you're working from home with young kids and they're struggling with ADHD? That's what we're talking about today. And we're going to bring Angie on in just a minute. But first things first, I want to find out, where are you watching from? Okay. And tell me 0 to 10, how are you doing today? 0 to 10, how are you doing today? I want you to acknowledge and go inward and tell me where your emotional set level is, because when you name it, you can move through it. So I see, Lee Jax, why are you awake in Australia? It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Hello, Toronto. Hello, Buffalo. I see some, Kelly from Buffalo, New York is joining us. Oh, I see a lot of people saying my ADD has gotten worse. Mine too. Spain, hello. Iowa, hello. It's so awesome to see all of you. We are live right now on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. We are not live on Instagram. See, my ADD is through the roof too. I can't even accurately discuss what's going on. So you can ask a question right now on Facebook. You can ask a question on LinkedIn. You can ask a question on Twitter, and you can ask a question on YouTube. If you want to raise your hand and say, get me on that live stream, live with Mel Robbins, I need to talk to her. I need her to coach me. You just send an email, askmel@melrobbins.com. Make sure we have your contact information and we know what your question is. And a producer from my team will call you. We will set this up. So what do you say? Let's go. Is it harder to focus than ever? That's what my friend Angie says in Buffalo, New York. So let's bring her on and let's find out what the heck is going on. Angie.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear
you.
Good.
Yeah, we're good to go.
So you have a question that I think the entire planet can relate to right now.
Yeah.
Which is difficulty focusing. So why don't you tell me first a little bit about your situation and the details around it and what you're noticing about your ADD and ADHD, okay?
Yeah, well, I was diagnosed at 28. And so I've been kind of working with my own symptoms for years now. I'm 38 on Thursday, actually.
Happy birthday. Everybody give some thumbs up and some hearts to Angie. She's celebrating a birthday in quarantine. Here we go.
Yeah.
And your present is a coaching session with Mel Robbins.
That's exactly what I was going to say. This is the best birthday present. But then upon having kids, I have an almost 6-year-old and an 18-month-old, kind of taking on those responsibilities on top of your own ADHD. And then all of a sudden we started seeing symptoms in our almost 6-year-old around 3.5 of having ADHD. Like I would look at him and see, oh my gosh, that was me when I was his age. And it was just kind of building, and we had reached out to some doctors over.
Let me ask you a question real quick.
Yeah.
So first of all, you get diagnosed with ADHD when you're 28 years old. Mm-hmm. What did you feel when you got that diagnosis?
Relief.
Okay. And how does ADHD present itself for you? Because what most of you don't realize is that ADHD in women and girls is very different than ADHD in men and boys. And that women are profoundly underdiagnosed. I was not diagnosed with ADD until I was 45 years old. And it was liberating to find out I wasn't crazy. I wasn't losing my mind. It wasn't premenopause. It was an attention and focus issue. And one of the things I want everybody to understand is, first of all, we're going to have a general conversation about focus, because whether you clinically have a diagnosis of ADD or ADHD, everybody is having trouble focusing right now. Mm-hmm. Every time, Angie, I walk through our kitchen and one of our daughters are down there, they're 21 and 19. They're both taking classes online because their colleges obviously got shut down. Every one of them is complaining to their friends, I've been upstairs all day. I haven't got anything done.
Yeah.
I'm sitting at my desk all day. I can't I can't concentrate. I can't focus.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell am I doing all day? What is going on? And so the first thing I want to say to you, Angie, is that this is not a normal situation.
Mm-hmm.
And a normal response to an abnormal situation is to lose your focus and to feel anxious.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I want to know is, how is being in quarantine impacting your ability to focus?
It's as if it's just compounded and amplified with my husband working from home upstairs, having to figure out our schedules between, okay, who's going to do the schooling and who's going to be working at that time, or if the only little break we get to go one-on-one with our 6-year-old is when the 18-month-old takes a nap.
Okay, so let me just get the facts straight. You got your husband who's working full-time. Mm-hmm. You've got a 5-year-old that has some issues with ADHD. You've got an 18-month-old. Mm-hmm. You have a home-based business, correct? Mm-hmm. And is there anybody else in the house?
No. And I should add, our 18-month-old he's in the immunocompromised category because he was born 7 weeks premature. So he was in the NICU for a month, and actually last September and October, he went to daycare like 6 times and had to be hospitalized twice with RSV and respiratory issues.
Okay. So how is your 18-month-old doing today?
He's perfectly fine. He's on an inhaler twice a day, just as like protocol for his issues last fall. But it's also, that's part of the added fear for us is not only, are we in this situation, but we do have one of the people who is an immunocompromised member of our family. So we have to keep the grandparents away. Smart. And all of that. So it just feels really compounded.
Given that you are quarantined, your husband's got to work full time, you got a home-based business, you got 2 kids under 5, one of whom has a compromised immune system, so you got to be hyper vigilant. Mm-hmm. Describe for me how this situation has triggered your inability to focus and heightened your anxiety.
Well, yeah. And I really don't think I've had anxiety before now, really. I don't. Really? Yeah, I didn't really suffer. Like, I was misdiagnosed with depression earlier on before I was properly diagnosed with ADHD. But I didn't really have anxiety before now. But yeah, this is, it's a whole different level of all of the fears. You're
what are you afraid of? Describe them all for me. Let's start hearing the list. And if you can relate to this as you're watching me coach Angie, give us a thumbs up, or you can participate in this coaching by telling me in the comments, what are you afraid of? So describe kind of where your mind goes. What do you think about? What's the worst stuff you think about? What do you get anxious about, Angie?
I think the thing I think of is we barely left the house, but my husband does have to go get groceries, and he actually suffers from anxiety, so he's actually wonderful about cleaning off all the groceries and making sure everything is clean before he brings it in the house. We've had a couple packages, things that we've had to order online that we've had shipped, we leave outside. So it's that fear of something just by chance getting in and making him sick, and not being sure where it's coming from.
And where do you feel the anxiety when your thoughts start to spiral? Where do you feel it in your body?
In my chest. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like just this weight, like I can't breathe. And it just feels overwhelming.
And what do you do when your chest starts to get really tight and your thoughts become very overwhelming?
I just start talking. I just talk. I just tell my husband how I'm feeling, or I just say, I got to get this out because, and anybody that knows me knows that's true. I just start, okay, I got to get this out or else it's going to crush me. And internalizing it has only, proven to build the anxiety worse. So I've always been a talker, but like, I got to get it out. I have to tell you how I feel, just even if I just have to say it, so you can tell me that my fears are maybe a little out of whack, or, hey, this is what we're going to do to make sure that this doesn't happen. We're going to make sure that we have the groceries outside.
Right.
We're going to keep all the cardboard boxes outside, even what little risk that may be. We're going to take all the precautions. I mean, I think my husband, he went to the grocery store yesterday and he's like, I'm getting everything for 2 weeks. And he was gone for like 3.5 hours because he was just being so careful with everything. And it's just that thing that you don't want to drop the ball and feel like you're safe for a second in the risk of something happening to him.
And how exhausted are you?
Oh, it's completely exhausting. Like I feel, I mean, I do get a little more sleep once we do all those things. Once I do talk it out, I feel like I'm able to actually sleep a little bit better. But yeah, it definitely, it pops up, and you just wake up and you think about, the worst case scenario happening. But I try
to right there. The anxiety is right there with you as well when you wake up in the morning.
Yeah. And most, if we're all home and no one goes anywhere and it's fine. You know what I mean? It doesn't really present itself, but it's the, walking outside and going on a walk and, telling our 5-year-old, like, you can't run over to, that friend.
So I want to handle this one thing at a time. So let's talk about the anxiety first. Okay.
Okay.
So it would be weird if you weren't feeling anxiety right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. And the reason why I say that is because feeling anxious, feeling afraid, feeling overwhelmed in a moment like this is a normal response.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times what happens when you start feeling anxiety is the anxiety itself becomes so overwhelming that you start to resist it and you make it wrong and you start to fear the anxiety, and resisting it makes it even worse. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so talking it out is one strategy. But the thing about that is your 5-year-old will absorb that energy from you.
Yeah.
And so your 5-year-old won't remember the specifics of this period of time, but your 5-year-old will remember how it felt to be around mommy. Yeah. And so one of the things that I want you to do is I want you to use this as an opportunity to start to train your mind to not go there. Okay. Mm-hmm. Because your husband's already being hyper vigilant. And what's happening is you're allowing your anxious thoughts to spin. And when you are talking them out, you're getting them out of your mind, but you are still giving them weight by now spreading all of this anxiety to your husband. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's a strategy that I want you to use. Okay. I want you to start to use this as a chance to catch your mind when you start to go into hypervigilance, which is a form of anxiety that a lot of people are feeling right now. Your safety and your family's safety is the paramount importance here. Mm-hmm. And you can bet on the fact that your husband, if he goes out every 2 weeks, is going to be doing the grocery shopping and being vigilant. And you can stand there with your spray bottle and spray him down with, your homemade sanitizer. But what you want to do is not allow your mind to go there. So there's 2 things I want there. Actually, I'm going to give you 3 tools I want you to use. I know you already know the 5-second rule. Mm-hmm. So when your mind starts to drift to, what are we going to do? What's your 18 months old name?
Otis.
What happens if Otis gets us? What happens if Otis has to go into the hospital? What happens if there's something on the milk carton and then it touches me and then I touch him and then Otis gets sick and then I'll never forgive myself and then we get there and there's no ventilator and then he's in the NICU and that is the moment that we got to stop down. So the moment you catch your thoughts going from one thought, did he wipe down the milk? Which is how it begins. And it starts going to the next one, because if he didn't, you're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
And we're going to stop it down because we're not going to allow ourselves to get hysterical.
Yeah.
You are allowed to ask him, is everything cleaned off? Do you need me to wipe anything? You're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
But you're not allowed to have your mind go nuts. Okay. Yeah. Super important. So that's number one. Number two, when you start feeling yourself stepping up the anxiety, you are really cleaning everything like crazy, or you're feeling that chest pressure come on. When that steps up, I want you to step out of the room for a minute.
Okay.
I want you to take control by removing yourself from the thing you're hyper focused on. Like, is there something that you do when you get anxious? You clean, you organize the, what do you do?
Yeah, I clean.
Okay.
I organize, do laundry, something.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you catch yourself doing anxiety chores, I want you to step away. I want you to step out, and I want you to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm not going to allow myself to get worked up about this. Here's the final thing that I think will help a lot. Telling yourself that nothing bad is going to happen does not work.
Exactly.
And the reason why it doesn't work is because when you say nothing bad is going to happen, it invalidates your fear. The best way to disappear fear that is supported by facts, because we all do need to protect our family's safety, and we all do need to be vigilant in terms of washing hands and cleaning stuff when we get it from the grocery store. So the fear is valid, but I don't want the fear to hijack you. So what you're going to say is, when you feel the chest tightening, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you're going to say, if something happens, we'll deal with it then. Yeah. Today, we're all safe. So can you say that with me? If something happens, here we go. If something happens, we'll deal with it then.
We will deal with it when it comes, and we will all be safe.
Yes. And what does saying that do for you?
It just gives me the control back, which I think is like everybody feels like this is all out of our control. So if I'm saying that, then I take it back, and then the anxiety won't control me.
Yes, because as weird as it sounds, anxiety is a coping mechanism. Because when you can't control all the craziness that's going on out there, you start to feel anxiety and you start to get nervous and your thoughts start to spiral. And whatever it is that you do, talking it out or folding laundry or focusing on your chest tightening, all of that worrying distracts you from the thing you can't control. And then it makes you focus on anxiety and getting control of anxiety. And so we don't want anxiety to be the thing that's controlling you. Using that mantra, hey, if something happens, we'll deal with it then, and we will all be safe. And today, everybody is great. Today, we're doing our part. And the today part's really important because it brings you back into the present. Anxiety is trying to hijack you and pull you into a scary future. Hey, no, if something happens, we'll deal with it then. Today, we're all safe, and there's nothing that I need to concern myself with. Okay? Got it?
Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
Now let me talk about the focus. Tell me about how you and your husband are managing him working full-time, you having a stay-at-home business, and you got 2 kids under the age of 5. How are you managing your time?
In 24-hour snippets. We're trying to do the nightly meeting where we're kind of going over, okay, what do we need tomorrow? What meetings do you have that you can't be flexible with, that you need to be, whether it's on camera or whatever. And okay, what work does Wyatt have to get done for school? And, just everyone's schedule and how we're going to work it out.
Now, do you guys have a routine for the day?
Yeah, we've actually kind of gotten into a routine.
Okay.
But we actually have a little desk set up. So upstairs in our bedroom where Jeremy's office is now is our 5-year-old Wyatt goes up and does his work during certain quiet times when he can be up there. So he'll do like a little bit of, kindergarten homework, but he'll do a little bit of work with him, and we have like a whole chart on our whiteboard in our kitchen.
Right, so you're organized.
Yes.
You got.
Oh, I'm super organized.
Which is organized. But talk to me about focus, because everybody is having it. Everybody right now is having a hard time when you sit down and you get the time to get things done, being unable to focus your attention and actually do anything. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, I feel like the stress of everything, from the worrying about money, worrying about, at the beginning, it was like, what is going on with all the toilet paper? And then they were saying people are taking baby wipes and hoarding baby wipes. And then I started immediately going, well, what about Otis does an inhaler? Like if an inhaler is part of the treatment and they start becoming, harder to get, like he has to take that every single day. And so like not having the proper supplies, not being able to get them.
Okay, well, let me explain what's happening, okay? Because you have already done the right thing, which is you and your husband have a routine, and you're also checking in every night. I'm going to give you a little bit more coaching around what I want you to do when you look at that routine.
Okay.
A particular way, the ABCD method that I just invented for this moment of time, about how you're going to talk with your husband. But let me explain to everybody why none of us can focus. The reason why none of us can focus is because this moment in time is it's literally simulating what those of us with diagnosed ADD suffer from, which is you don't have enough fuel in your brain to do all of the worrying, all of the calculating, all of the hyper processing that we're all having to do, because we are all in a brand new reality and we are all having to be hyper vigilant about our personal safety. Mm-hmm. And so, for example, simply going to the grocery store. Normally you would drive there and you would park the car and walk in and get your milk and you would pay for it and you would leave and you would come home and it would be 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. Today it takes an hour. You might even wait in line for an hour before you can get into the grocery store. While you're in the grocery store, you got gloves on, you got a mask on, you've got your hand sanitizer. You're wondering as you touch everything, who else has touched it? As you pay it, nobody can swipe. You got to like give the card a certain way. You got to be 6 feet away from people. Everybody's got a frown on their, like your mind is burning through 20 gallons of gas just to go to the grocery store. And so I want everybody, when it comes to focus, I want you to think about something. Your brain basically runs on fuel. And so think of your brain like a car engine. Okay, Angie? Mm-hmm. And your brain has a certain amount of fuel that it needs. And it's got a tank, and that tank has 20 gallons in it. And what's happening for everybody on the planet, I don't care if you are in middle school, if you are Angie's age, if you're my age, if you're older, you burn through all 20 gallons in that tank by the time it's 10 o'clock in the morning. Mm-hmm. Because your mind is basically running a marathon or two all day long, even though we're basically just sitting around and trying to pass the time. And so here's what I want you to understand. If you have to focus, first of all, I would prioritize your most important work first thing in the morning, because you're going to wake up with the most amount of fuel. The second thing is that the only hack that I know of that boosts your brain power, other than meds, if you have been diagnosed with ADD, the only thing that will boost your brain power is a little bit of exercise. Mm-hmm. Research shows that if you were to put on a streaming tape and do some cardio for 20 minutes, you would get a little bit of a boost that's going to last you an hour or two. They call it Miracle Grow for the Brain. This comes from Dr. John Rady at Harvard Medical School. The book is called Spark if you're interested in the science, but it is profound. And the other thing that I want you to understand is that everything right now is probably going to take you twice as long. And so what happens is if you sit down first thing in the morning, even though you might have exercised, you still have your old reality expectations on you. Like, I should be able to sit down and fire through emails. You got to realize it's going to take twice the amount of time, at least, to get done what you need to get done right now. So rule number one about focus, everybody, we got to lower our expectations. Yes, this is a moment of time where you can learn to quiet your anxiety. Yes, this is a moment of time where you can learn how to stick to a routine. Yes, this is a moment of time where you can find time to connect with your husband and your kids and your friends. This is probably not a moment in time where you are going to explode the sales in your home-based business. This is probably not the moment in time where you're going to be the most productive of your life, because these are not normal times. And so we got to lower our expectations. You got to realize things are going to take twice as long. And when you're having trouble focusing, I guarantee you it's a fuel issue. Can you do a little bit of exercise? Can you eat something that is healthy that'll give you a little bit of boost? Are you drinking enough water during the day? These are the things that make a difference. Now let me talk to you specifically about how you and your husband can find time. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
You guys already have a routine. Fabulous. You already talk every night about what you have coming up tomorrow so that you can plan the day.
Mm-hmm.
Fabulous. Now I want you to add something in, okay?
Okay.
There are 4 kinds of time slots during this moment of time. A, B, C, D. I'm going to make it very easy. A is time slots that are all about the kids. This is where you got to just give up any expectation that anything other than being an amazing mom is going to happen. I know some days that sucks. The monotony can drive anybody crazy. It's the hardest and most important job on the planet. And this moment is temporary. So you got to look at your day and say, what are the A slots where it's all about the kids?
Okay.
Next are the B slots. That's busy work that you can do for your stay-at-home business. So busy work includes sending some emails. Busy work includes posting stuff on social media. Busy work is anything you can do for work while your kid is watching TV. Okay. And let me say something about TV right now. I think we all got into quarantine and we thought, this is amazing. I'm going to homeschool these kids, no TV, arts and crafts every day. This is going to be incredible. And by day 2, we were like, let's pay teachers $250,000 a year. And let's keep these kids in front of Barney all day because I'm out of here. So we need to lower expectations on that. There is something fantastic about leveraging all of the amazing programming that is out there right now. And there's an article we just posted to all of our social media channels from Parent Magazine, 125 things that you can do with kids at home. And there's so many streaming museum tours and virtual play dates and DJ dance parties that are happening, that if you pull out your calendar, you can pick a couple a day. This is where you do your busy work. You let YouTube University take care of your children, and you sit and you get busy work done. C, the C time slot are chores. And this is something your kids can participate in. If you're still got, the 18-month-old in a baby Bjorn and you're wearing them, or you park them in the thing on the counter, your 5-year-old can help you with chores. It's going to take you 5 times longer, but that's okay. We're in a weird moment of time. We all got to have patience. Now let's talk about the D block. The D block is the most important block. You ready? Because this is the time that you need for dedicated work and dedicated me time. And so this is where you have conversations with your spouse about what you need. This is where the Zoom calls that can't be interrupted happen. This is where your 20 minutes of exercise so that you are taking care of your mental health and your focus happen. And this is where you carve out, even if it's just 15 minutes or a half an hour, time to do the deeper focused work that needs to get done in your home-based business. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. So what did you get out of this coaching session?
I think breaking down into smaller bites is what everyone needs to do right now, but it's even more important for those of us with ADHD. And I mean, when you said this is kind of everyone's feeling what it's like to have an ADHD brain right now, that's exactly what I thought when all this happened. Oh, now maybe everyone will get it.
Well, yeah, I mean, whether they get it or not, it doesn't matter. It's whether or not you have the resilience to not beat yourself up all day.
Yeah. And I think that's the hardest part.
Take the pressure off yourself. And you can use these tools of breaking up your day into A, B, C, and D blocks, which also helps you level set your own expectations.
Yeah.
And that also will allow you to not jam a to-do list into a 15-minute moment.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that I can help you with?
I really think your 5-second journal is what starts off my morning and centers me. And I've been doing that since the beginning of the year. So like, even as all this was happening, and I mean, we were flying to New York to come be on your show, and that's when everything got closed down. So that was our first set of fears is, oh my gosh, we were just in New York City and now we're coming home. Like, we wouldn't let the kids hug us. We took all of our luggage. You know what I mean?
Smart.
It started there.
Right. It started there. And guess what? It hasn't stopped since.
Yeah.
And that was 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So today is April 7th. And what I want you to do is I want you to make a commitment that from this moment until the end of quarantine, because this is temporary, you are going to practice managing your mind. You're going to practice staying grounded. You're going to practice calming yourself and reminding yourself that if something happens, you'll deal with it then. And today you are safe. And there's nothing to worry about except for when you're going to get your damn D time so you can dedicate time to your home-based business and to your personal health. You got it?
Yep.
Good. Awesome. Well, keep me posted on how you're doing. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it. I wish you the best of luck. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And I know that all of you got something out of this coaching session with Angie. And I know that what you need right now is coaching. And so you have the opportunity to work with me, Mel Robbins. That's right, as your coach. By the way, you can't hire me to be your coach. I don't do that. I have a daytime talk show. I write books. I do a ton of stuff with Audible. We're going to be launching a podcast in the near future. We have a tremendous number of projects coming up. I do not coach people for hire. I am doing this for you because I know that it's what you need. It's what we all need right now. Talking through your individual struggles that we can all relate to, and finding the simple, proven tools that you can put to use that will help you gain control in this moment of time and in whatever area of your life that you're struggling with. So if you would like coaching, if you're like, how do I get on that live stream? Right now, here's how we're doing it. Send an email to askmel@melrobbins.com. Put in your question, put in your contact information, and someone from my team will reach out to you. And we are going to keep on coaching you through this and beyond. So in case nobody else tells you today, let me be the one to tell you that I believe in you and I believe in your ability to get through this. I love you. I love that you're here every day. It's what's keeping me going and giving me a really important sense of purpose right now. So thank you so much for being here. And I will see you tomorrow. I can't wait to see who shows up on the live stream tomorrow. All right. Have a good one, everybody.